Here we're going to be talking about integers, floats, and math operations with them. All right, and in Python, we have a lot of operations. We have the plus, we have minus, your standard operations, and then we also have this other operation called the modulus operation. And so I'm going to briefly talk about these operations. Then I'll talk about what integers and floats are. Well, actually, I'll talk about integers and floats first. All right. So in Python, we have things called ints and we have floats. And the difference between an int and a float is that an int is just a whole number, right? One of our integers, one of our natural numbers. And a float is just a decimal with decimal points. And floats actually take up more data space than ints. So whenever you have a whole number, you should probably use ints rather than floats, all right? And so let's start doing some operations. Okay, so here's some of your obvious ones. You can do, 3 plus 1, 3 plus 2, and it'll, output the correct thing if we have everything going right. And it does. 3 plus 2 is 5. We can also do subtraction right here, 3 minus 2. And we got our output 1 in the logcat, all right? And these both right here are actually ints, okay? Because they're whole numbers and they will take up less data space than floats, all right? All right, floats. And we can also do subtraction with floats as well. So 3 points or 90.75 minus 30.40. We get 60.35 and it'll output a float, all right? So when we subtract two floats, it'll output a float even if, we still output a whole number, right? Or yeah, even if the answer is a whole number, it will still output a float because the print function is reading two floats together. All right. We can also do, our multiplication. 3 times 4. That's 12. We can do that with floats as well. 3.5 times 4.6, for example. 4.6 is equal to 16.999998, right? So it gives us a float back, okay? And so it wants to go to exact measures right here, but we could also do division, right? 5 divided by 4. We'll get 1.25, right? We get a float out of here. We can do, same thing with, maybe 5.1 divided by 4.23. Or not 23, that's a bad number right there. Then we get this weird looking number right here, but it's our answer, right? We have a float that comes out of that. And let me show you more of the complicated ones. Let me show you 5 to the power of 2, for example. That is how the exponent function looks like. Then we get our answer 25 right here, right? So this is the exponent function. I might have forgotten to put it right here. That's the exponent function, okay? And you can also do this with variables, right? You can do math with variables. So var equals 2, for example. And then instead of doing 5 to the power of 2, we can just do 5 to the power of var as our variable. And we'll get 25. All right, so you can do math operations with variable. And let me show you this modulus function real quick. So what a modulus function does is all it does is take the remainder of a division statement, okay? For example, if we have 5 modulus 2, our answer is going to be 1 because 5 divided by 2 is actually going to be 2.5. But since we have a remainder of 1, it's going to take that whole number 2, it's going to discard it, and then it's going to say, hey, our remainder is 1, so we're going to output 1. All right? So let's go a little bit further. All right, let's try 8 modulus 3. What would we get out of that? We'd get 2, right? We'd get 2 right here because 8 of 3 times 2 is 6. Then we're going to have our remainder 2 right here. And that's that. All right. And so what if I had something like this, though? All right. Now we're going to start getting to functions of ints. So if we had 2 like this, and we want to do 8 divided by var, that's going to output an error for us, right? Because guess what? This is a string, so the print function can't correctly read it. So what we want to do here is we actually want to change this into an integer. And so what we'd do, we'd say int, and then we can change this to our integer right here. and then we successfully run it, and it says 4.0 is our answer, and that is correct, right? 8 divided by 2 is 4.0. And we can also do some rounding here, right? So we can change it into an integer. All right, let me write that down. Int x change to integer, or int, right? And we can also do some rounding, all right? So what if I had 3.75 or something, right? And I didn't want to exactly measure this, all right? Because we'd get a really long float, and I don't want the user to have to read all of this and like get exact numbers and everything. So I'd actually want to round it sometimes. It'd be useful. And I can say round, and then I can just round our variable right here, and we'd get it 2.0. All right. And here, let me just take out this 8 for you, just to give you a better representation of how it would look like. We have var right here. And so it rounds to 4, all right, because, 3.75 goes up, right? And we can also add another parameter right here. For example, we can add a 1 as a parameter, and it'll round differently. It'll round to 3.8, right? And that's because what this one parameter is telling us is that hey, we want to round to this first decimal place rather than do the whole number. All right, and we can also round to two decimal places if we had something different, and we can run this. We'd get 3.76. All right, so that is integers and math operations. All right, and I'll see you guys in the next video.